Hi Shay and Jake, this is a walkthrough on how to use your new IG Posts templates. When you first get the file, it's going to look like this, and if you don't have a Canva account, that's your first step. You have to go and create a Canva account. Once you've done that, you can hit Use Template, and it'll just bring all 6 templates into your own Canva workspace, and it's going to look like this. Now, the first thing before you touch anything on these designs is you should go to File and make a copy so that you will always have the original files on hand in case something gets messed up or you do something that you don't like and you want to go back to the original design. I will not have the original design because this was created in Canva. I will not have any master files to deliver to you if you make a mistake and need to start over. So this is imperative that you do this so that you just have access to the original designs. So what I've done is I've created 6 templates, all based on past designs that I've done since we started the Chez Sells Boutique brand. So I've done 3 gray ones and 3 white ones. And the first thing to mention is when I use the gray, it's because we have a very white space. We have a really white room that lends itself to the gray writing. Here's the thing. Even though this is a really white room, this is 100% transparency. Even if you have a really white room, sometimes it doesn't lend itself to the design. So as you can see, the 2 is no longer visible and the sold is a little bit hard to read. So what I would do in that case is just bring down the transparency just slightly. And if that works for you, that's how you get around that problem. Sometimes rooms are really, really white and vibrant. You think it'll work really well, and then there's an element like a coffee pot that just gets in the way of the design. In that case, you're more than welcome to move things around so that it works better. Yeah, you can just move these, you can change them. Everything in these designs is completely movable. So what I've done with a few things I'm going to show you right now is I've grouped items to make it easier to move around. So if you need to move this entire thing around, I've actually grouped it for you to make it a lot easier. This might not work if you try to be adventurous and actually redesign it. If you notice that there's a dotted line around this box, you're just going to control click and hit ungroup, and then you have complete control over each element. I'm going to keep it grouped because it just makes things a lot simpler. In the event that you need to change these numbers, just double click and you can change them. I have chosen white and your Chez Sells Boutique gray. There are some times where you've asked for things to be black. In that case, you would highlight it and just go over to this color option and change it to black. It's really that simple, nothing to it. Put this back where it belongs. Again, with this, when it was fully, you can see that it loses it. It's almost like a darker image. So I just made it a little bit transparent. If this isn't working for you, if the transparency doesn't work and you really want to be able to see the design, that's when you just start moving things around. I've created these to look visually appealing with regards to the writing. I'm not concerned with the images because these aren't actual listings. When you import your own listing photos, feel free to play around with this and move them around because that's exactly that's the process I use when creating them in Photoshop. I import the most beautiful photo, the one that represents the listing the best, or the one that I feel represents the listing the best, and then it's all about playing around with these elements to make sure that it really does. It's not distracting and it suits the photo and you can read everything properly. Those are my 3 goals with creating your posts. Now, as you can see here, another thing to mention is obviously if it's not an open house and you want to say something like exclusive, you can definitely do that. Just change the text. These were made pretty much the way that I've made every single one of your posts, but there are some times when you need something to say exclusive or whatever it is that you needed to say, feel free to change the text. Now we move on to the white ones. Again, I'm using darker images here and the white pops and you can see that it's pretty self-explanatory. I have grouped these icons together as well, just for simplicity. So if you want to move them around, you can move them around as one object. And again, double click and you can change that information. This is pretty self-explanatory. Another thing I'm going to mention is this is an image box. So if you can see it, the blue that's highlighted right now, it's an image box. And you'll notice in some of them, I've actually locked it, which is this symbol up here. The reason why I've locked it is because Shea Cells Boutique is also an image box. And if you try to move this around on top of another image box, what happens in Canva is it tries to knock out the one behind it, which is very annoying. So I'm going to actually show you so that you can see what it looks like. Okay, so if it's not locked and I just try to move it, see, it's just knocking it out so that it's almost like it's trying to take over the image box behind it, which is really annoying when you're trying to design. So I simply lock the background knowing that it's going to stay that way. Another thing to note though before I lock it is Instagram is square. Your photos are not square. They're never square. So if you double click on the image box, you can actually just move this around to fit your needs. You can move it around until you're happy with how it looks in the square, and then lock it so that it doesn't move around again. I've included a white box here because there are many times that you need a box behind this in order to read days on the market, showings, offers, etc. If you feel, for this particular photo, I would actually remove it. Not this particular photo, I would probably remove this and then make these white accents because this photo is really pretty. And then if you just do that, you can see that you could do it for all of them. Or you can leave it as is, it's completely up to you. If you want to move things around, if you think that's too big, again, highlight it and change it to half the size. You can move it around. Another thing, the last thing I'm going to mention is spacing. So I usually, when I'm doing your designs, I usually have nice spacing, or kerning is what it's called, between the letters. Here in Canva, you just go to spacing and you can actually manipulate the spacing between the letters. I like to have wide spacing. And that's it. That's pretty much it. Anytime you need to design something, you bring in an image. You're going to upload it here. And say this was the photo that I need to bring in. You literally just drag it until it pops into place. And that's how you do it. When you're ready to save, you go to download up here. Everything is in Canva, everything is set up for you, so you really don't even need to think about it. It's PNG files, which are perfect for Instagram. You hit download. It's going to look like this. What's great about this too is that you have 6 templates all in one file. So if you want to do 6 different posts for your listing, which is a great idea, you do different, you can do different headings. Like if you have a beautiful living room, you can talk about the living room in one post, or kitchen, you can talk about that in another post. And it's really great because you'll have 6, you can work on all of them at once and then save them and then use them throughout the week or throughout a couple days when you're promoting the listing. So that's another thing to think about. Continue editing. Now we're just going to go over to the There we go. And for your stories, what I've done is I've made them the exact same as the other ones, as your post, just formatted for Instagram stories. So it's no longer, you're not going to have a square box in the middle of the screen. It's actually going to look like it was formatted for Instagram stories. This is a little bit more involved because what I would suggest is that you actually do a lot of the writing and copy in Instagram stories because there's just more engagement that way. So you do this really well, Shea, so I don't need to tell you, but when you're in Instagram stories, you're always posting stickers and you're doing polls or questions, and that's a really great way to encourage engagement. So there's very little that I can tell you about designing these posts for IG stories, because it's completely up to you. If I were you, I would put a picture, again, one of your favorite pictures in behind here. Again, I've locked it so that you can't mess that up. Another thing to note, especially for IG stories, is you might want to have a couple photos. So you might want to do something like this, and in order to create another image box, I'm just going to hit Command and copy and Command and V, which makes it paste in here. And then you can add 2 images. If you feel like, if you see that the layering is not correct, like the image is on top of the writing, just Control, click with your mouse, and send to back. And then all of that writing will be revealed. Again, Instagram stories, I mean, you're gonna have to think to yourself, what do I want to accomplish with this post? And if it's, you know what, I'm gonna do a complete write-up on this post. I'm going to put the copy in here when I get to IG stories. Those are things that you have to think about beforehand. If it were me, I would probably not even put open house. I would delete it and write that in IG stories, because there are a lot of stickers that are animated and people love animated stuff. Those are just some things to consider. Again, these are exactly the same, just formatted for stories. So you can move any of these elements around if you want it in the middle for IG stories. If you want, again, if you want this to say something else, it's the exact same process as the other one. It's just sized differently. So just have fun with it. And now you can do as many as you want and not have to worry about anything. Again, download. It's already formatted for you. You hit download. It's going to save it onto your computer, and you're going to transfer it to your phone either with AirDrop or emailing it to yourself or through Dropbox or Google Drive. However you normally send photos to yourself to post on Instagram, that's how you're going to do it. That's it. If you have any questions, let me know. I'm here.